So Kirill,
Yeah.
you are probably one of the most passionate people about Power BI, solving problems with Power BI.
Yeah, then
I think I know.
a lot of other things. But
Yeah.
yeah. I come from business, so first and foremost, I like to solve business problems that make sense to the business, right? Not just like throw tech at it and go nuts. So to me, what was very exciting getting into this is really enabling the business to kind of go faster at what they need to solve, right? And I think like coming from the business side of it really helps. Just really helps speak the same language and kind of preemptively know what people are after before they can even think about it. So that I think that's a huge advantage. Like today, for example, we had a conversation with a client like, oh, I want, let's just say visits. Like I want a measure of visits. I'm like, oh, what are you going to do with it?
And you're working with healthcare information, so this is patient visits.
Patient visits, exactly. And what are you going to do with it? Oh, well, actually, I don't know. Like, well, you probably want to compare it to something like a budget. Yeah, that's a good idea. So let's just put that on there. I'm like, well, wait, but what is this dashboard going to be filtered on? Oh, it's going to be filtered on the current month. I'm like, okay, great. So if you have visits, you're going to have, beginning of the month, you're going to have one visit, and you budgeted 30. Can you tell that it's, are we on track? Are we not on track? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good point. Maybe we should do a month to date. Like, bingo. Now we're talking, right? So it's like literally, they already had everything spec'd out, but we changed it twice during that session.
Sure.
So
now, when we talked about this particular challenge earlier, I think something that came up, and this is common. I mean, we see this all the time, where a consulting client, essentially say, hey, I've got all this data and I want to learn interesting things from it. And so you look at the data and you're essentially you're working in a vacuum with no specific requirements, and you're trying to imagine what they're going to be asking for, what questions, what business questions they're going to be asking. So in that case where, essentially you could build a data model with dozens and dozens, scores of tables, and it would be very, very complicated. It would take a long time, and you'd run into all kinds of data quality problems. How do you focus that? How do you get down to, what is the business problem that I'm trying to solve?
Yeah. So what I do typically is I start with saying, what is it that you want to measure, right? So like with the really the KPIs and the metrics that turn into measures and data speak. And from there, you just kind of like unravel that and say, okay, where would that come from? What database, what table, what column, like what do I need to do with it? And so I think, once you go through all of that, that distills it down to like a very minimalistic data set that you need to accomplish everything that they need, instead of bringing all of those tables, like with all of those columns and such, right, which would bloat your model and make it sometimes impossible to publish it out to a workspace, right, because you have limits on the Pro and such.
Sure.
And so
it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to build a huge model.
Coming from the business analysis side of things, I really do not like the inefficient processes. And even when it comes to gathering requirements, I don't want to regurgitate a bunch of things. I mean, I appreciate the iteration, but even those can be kept to a minimum, right? So if you kind of take the approach of like, what is it that you need exactly, and let's like think through this together, so we don't have to come back. And then translate it into what data assets we need to bring into our data set. I think that saves a lot of time.
Yeah, okay. So we've got, some fantastic tools. Power BI is awesome. It's something that I know that you're very passionate about, is kind of taking Power BI to the next level and doing interesting things in DAX and interesting things with data modeling, as I am as well. But, at the end of the day, what is it really about? I mean, what is it that we're really accomplishing?
I think to me it's really about saving time, right? Because I came from Excel and using Excel in the business, which still a lot of companies use, and they run their business on Excel, and Microsoft included, by the way.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that history just a little bit. You're with 3Cloud now, but I know that you worked for Power Pivot Pro, which is Rob Colley's company, and they were very, very, very well known, especially kind of in the early days of Power Pivot and Power BI. So you were part of that wave, of that movement from the Excel community into true analytics.
Yeah, I think I missed the boat on Power Pivot by about a couple of years, because I started learning about it when I could have really used it at one of my prior employers doing financial analysis, and it was a lot of copying and pasting, right? So as soon as I learned about, there's actually a database within Excel, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this you have no idea how much time it'll save. So really, to answer your question, for me it boils down to the time savings of it. You set it up once, and you just kind of reap the benefits of all that analysis kind of in perpetuity.
Yeah, awesome. So you're professionally, you're pretty intense. You're pretty good at getting things done.
I'm just trying to do my job.
Well, but you do it well. And so how do you offset that intensity?
Yeah, I mean, I've always played basketball.
Okay.
That's my thing, right? So I played back in Russia. I played high school. I played college, and I always kind of that was really my outlet, right? So we still get together here in Vancouver, Washington. With some friends and playing pickup basketball. I like learning languages. Besides the computer languages, my native language is Russian. I'm picking up Spanish. I'm making pretty progress with it. So I'm pretty diligent about it. Spend about 30 minutes to an hour each day.
The rest of us are just still trying to figure out English.
Yeah, right. So I can carry a pretty good conversation. It won't be anything technical, but I can get by. And then what I'd like to get more into is, I used to play a Russian accordion, the one with the buttons,
Really?
when I was little, yeah.
Okay.
And now I'm picking up guitar, so I don't nearly spend as much time on practicing that as I do with like the Spanish, for example. But it's something that I always like. So I'm pretty good with the chords, right? It's just like the scales is kind of the next level.
Okay.
For me. Yeah.
So does that complement the problem solving, part of your brain?
Yeah,
that, is writing
I think
code?
it does. I mean, anything that, sometimes when you kind of get stuck, it helps refocus to the creative part of the brain, because then you're just kind of relaxing. You get into this creativity mode, and usually when you're down, you get a good night's sleep. You come up with some pretty good solutions.
Awesome.
I was more into humanities when I was little, right? And it's kind of ebbs and flows as you go through life. And now it's more about the analysis and being exact and being precise, right? But nothing beats practice, really. You even if you don't have a natural inclination for it, if you practice it enough times, I think you'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Persistence.
Yeah.
Awesome. All
Totally.
right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.